What's up guys, Kyle with Next Door Trader. Today we're going to talk about 6 trading mistakes that will 100% keep you poor. Let's get right into it. So mistake number 1 may be a little bit controversial because you actually can be successful this way, but mistake number 1 is trying to trade multiple things. And just hear me out on this one. This is especially true if you're new to trading, but if you can make all the money you need and want by trading just a single thing, wouldn't it make sense to just do that rather than spreading your attention all over the place and trying to trade multiple things? One of the things I see happen with new traders is they get overwhelmed. And one of the reasons they get overwhelmed is because there's too much information. And if you're trying to trade multiple different stocks and trying to scan the market all at different times, odds are, especially if you're new, you're going to get overwhelmed, you're going to get confused, and you're not going to know what's good and what's bad. And that's going to create some long-term problems for you and make it tough to find any kind of consistency. But if instead you just focus on trading a single thing and go even deeper than that, maybe you just trade a single setup on that single thing, now you can make progress a lot faster because it's really easy for you to focus on just that one thing. It's easy for you to analyze your work, make improvements, and your attention isn't spread all over the place.
Squirrel!
So focusing on one thing can be really important for you. As an example of this, my favorite thing to trade is just the S&P 500. I like trading S&P 500 futures and options as well, but ultimately focusing on just that one symbol to trade allows me to understand that symbol really, really well. I know how the S&P 500 chart moves. I know where to find the best opportunities and can still make all the money I need just by trading that one single thing. So focusing on one thing, or in this case, focusing on multiple things, is one trading mistake that will likely keep you poor. Trading mistake number 2 is oversizing. And this is also one of the most common things I see new traders do. In fact, there's a lot of strategies out there on the internet that will actually teach you to do this. And basically what that looks like is you take really, really massive size trades and just try to get little itty bitty moves with them. The problem with this is you always have a tremendous amount of money at risk. So what ends up happening most of the time, especially with new traders, is they win, and they feel like they're on top of the world because they're making a bunch of money on each one of those trades. But then as soon as they lose, their losers are always worth more than their winners, and it wipes out weeks of work. You don't need to oversize on trades in order to make money. You just need to know how to pursue higher reward type trades and take less risk. This is what professional traders do. Professional traders aren't out there putting 100% of their account size or 50% of their account size on a single move and trying to capture itty bitty movements in it. It's not what they do. They take smaller size positions, so risk 0.5%, 1%, 2% of their portfolio, and capture higher reward trades. So always making sure the reward is higher than their risk on every single move. That's how you create consistency. It's how you prevent yourself from taking large steps backwards. But one of the biggest mistakes I see that cause people to fail with trading ultimately is oversizing. So doing too much, too soon, risking too much on any single trade, and take large steps backwards that way. Before we get into step number 3, be sure to smash that like button if you like content like this. If you like getting into trading strategy, trading habits, if you want to be a successful trader, let me know by hitting the like button and I'll keep doing videos like this. Mistake number 3 that will 100% keep you poor, and I see people do it all the time, is skipping practice. And this is kind of ironic because anything else in life you would go through a practice phase, right? You want to be a professional athlete or any kind of athlete, you're going to practice before you go play the games. You get hired on as a new job, they're always going to take you through some kind of training period before they throw you into the fire. But for whatever reason, people want to skip practice when it comes to trading. They don't want to trade on a demo account, they don't want to do any paper trading. They want to jump right in with live money and start getting after it. It's a terrible mistake because ultimately you probably don't know what you're doing yet. This is especially bad because the people that you're competing against do know what they're doing. And if you don't know what they're doing and they do, who do you think is going to end up with the money at the end of the day? Probably going to be them, right? So go through a practice phase as you're going through trading. And this doesn't have to be months and months and months of practice, but you need to go through that practice in order to understand where your flaws are, in order to understand whether or not your strategy works. Don't fall into the temptation of thinking that you can just copy someone online, copy their trades, and just jump right into a live account. There's all kinds of stuff that you could make mistakes on that you won't be aware of until you go through a practice phase. And you should treat practice just like you would treat live trading. So try to simulate the same emotions, take the same strategy, follow the same disciplines, but it's really, really important that you go through that practice phase so that you can prove to yourself and to the strategy that you're actually successful with it. Don't skip that phase of things. Don't fall into the temptation of getting desperate for money, right? I know everybody wants to make money trading, that's kind of why you do it, but the money will come but not if you skip the practice and jump in before you're ready. So mistake number 4 actually goes hand in hand with mistake number 3. And it's not journaling, not tracking your trades. Most new traders I see don't do this. They say they want to do it, but then they don't end up doing it. And it's such an important habit if you want to be a successful trader, because the reality is it's probably not all going to go 100% according to plan at the beginning. And the only way you're going to know how to make improvements is if you track your trades, you journal your work. This doesn't have to be a super hard or time-consuming thing to do. It takes you 5 minutes to log your trades on every single day, and maybe 15 minutes over the weekend or at the end of the week to review them. But this is an extremely important step if you want to be long-term successful. And here's really what that should look like. Each and every day, log your trades. So what time did I enter? What position did I take? How many contracts did I do? Where was my stop? Where was my profit target? And where was the result? You can set all those things up on a spreadsheet. You don't need any fancy software if you don't want, but just log it in there. You don't even have to really reflect on it that particular day if you don't want to. Just make sure the information is there. Creating the daily habit is key if you're going to actually start journaling. It's just like anything else. If you do it daily, you're going to keep doing it. If you don't do it daily, you're not going to do it. You're going to end up just not doing it at all because you're going to skip days, you're going to fall behind, and you're not going to want to do it. So log them daily. Then at the end of the week, review your results. So how did I actually perform this week? Number 1, did I follow my disciplines? Did I do what I said I was going to do? If you didn't do that, then your data is kind of corrupted, because you don't really know if it works or not. So make sure step number 1 is you're following your disciplines. If you found in your trade log that you're not doing that, that's the first thing you need to correct. Step number 2 though is you can look at your win rate. How often did I win? Did I win at least 50% of the time? If you're winning at least 50% of the time, you should be profitable. So make sure that you're winning at least 50% of the time. If you're not, then you know you probably have a strategy or a strategy execution problem, and that's what you'll want to go fix. And then step number 3 in that thought process as you're reviewing your trades on a weekly basis is, what was my reward to risk? If I did win 50% of the time or more and I'm not profitable, because I have a reward to risk problem. It means I'm either taking too much of a loss on my losers, or I'm not getting enough profit on my winners, and you need to isolate one of those problems and solve it for the next week. That's the power of being able to journal your trades though, is you can do that each and every week and make an improvement every single week. Where new traders tend to struggle is they never improve. Rather than trying to improve, they just try something else because they haven't tracked their work and they don't know how. So journaling your trades will allow you to make improvements, which is extremely important if you want to be trading for a long time and pulling money out of the markets. Mistake number 5 actually goes hand in hand with journaling. I mentioned that most people don't actually try to make improvements, or they don't know how because they don't journal. So what do they do? Well, what they do is they hop from strategy to strategy. And that's mistake number 5, is constantly changing your strategy. Odds are, especially if you're a new trader, if someone else is profitable with that strategy, you too could also be profitable with that strategy. So if you're not profitable with that strategy, it's probably not a strategy problem, it's probably a you problem. And that was a mouthful of words all jammed at you at once, but the important takeaway is if you're constantly flipping from one strategy to another strategy to another strategy, you're never gonna be consistent in any of them. What's gonna end up happening is you kind of sort of know a bunch of strategies, but are bad at all of them. Focus on one strategy that's been proven to be profitable and get really good at it. Track your work, make improvements, play the long game with it so that you too can also be profitable with it. All switching to another strategy does is cause you to take a massive step backwards, because now you're starting all over again. So select a good strategy to begin with. If you don't know what a good strategy is, it's something we'll cover in another video for you. We can break that down. I'll break down what my strategy is, but make sure that you're sticking with that one strategy long enough to know whether or not you will be profitable with it. It means you got to do it for months and put in the work and actually journal and make progress and improvements on it before you can make a decision on it and hop to the next thing. And the final mistake, mistake number 6, that is going to prevent you from pulling money out of the markets, it's going to keep you unprofitable, is just not getting education around the strategy that you're using. And I know, I get it. Like, you don't want to spend the time getting educated, you don't want to sort through hundreds of videos, you don't want to pay to get education, but you need to get some kind of education to know what you're doing. Because the truth is, if you're new to this, you probably never got it in school, didn't get it in any kind of job training. You got to learn what you're doing because you're competing against professionals that do know what they're doing. Not only the professionals that have the education, but the advanced systems, algorithms, technology that they can run against you. And that doesn't have to be scary. It just means you need to know the right information in order for you to be successful. But if you skip that phase and you just try to do it all on your own without getting any kind of education at all, what are the odds are that you're going to beat the pros that actually know what they're doing? Maybe for a little bit. it, but probably not long-term consistent, right? And I'm not saying you need to work with me or anything like that, but what I am suggesting is that you should choose someone to learn from and get really deep on their approach. Make sure that person's profitable, make sure they have an approach that aligns with your goals, but learn from them. Grab what information you can from them and get really deep on that information, because there's resources out there that can help you learn a lot faster. But if you're just trying to grind through it on your own, it's gonna be a really difficult road. You're competing against people that do know what they're doing, and it's probably gonna take you a really long time. And if you're ambitious, you probably don't want it to take a really long time. So the fastest road to actually learn how to do this is to learn from someone that's already proven to be successful with it. So those are 6 trading mistakes that are literally going to prevent you from being profitable, and you can solve all of them right away. It just takes a commitment to do that. If you like videos like this, reminder to smash the like button, share this so more people have this information. And if you subscribe, you'll continue to get good trading information like this. And we'll see you on the next one, guys.